Hello everyone, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. I'm so glad you dropped by today. I have a faux stained glass card using an embossing folder and a few markers, and this is what it looks like. Oh my word, just think of all the embossing folders you have that you could do this with. So I'm starting with a piece of clear vellum and this embossing folder, and this is one of my favorites from Cuttlebug. And I will cut down this piece of clear vellum to fit inside the embossing folder. So this is a 5x7 inch embossing folder, perfect for a 5x7 inch card, and I will cut this down later after I'm through doing all of my coloring and everything. But I'm going to line this up the best that I can inside this embossing folder. Then I'll bring over my Sizzix Big Shot and go over to the embossing tab. It shows you right here, this is for embossing. I'll get that sandwich between my two plates, and I am going to add just a little shim of regular copy paper that I've folded in half. I'm just going to add that over the top, which will give me just a little deeper embossing as I run this through my machine. You don't have to do this, but I really wanted that embossed look to pop since I am working on this faux stained glass. So that little piece of paper working as a shim helps with that. So here you see I have an embossed and a debossed side. So the embossed sticks out and the debossed is recessed. Then I'll bring over my Zig Clean color markers. These are kind of like watercolor markers, and they are very good for this process of where I am going to color in on my vellum. Right, I'm just selecting a few colors here, and then I'm going to put this over some darker paper so that I can see and you can see as well. Just shows up a little bit better when I put it on a darker surface. So I have flipped my panel over so that the debossed side is facing me. This means it's got those recesses. This is along the back side of your embossed piece of vellum, and this is what we will be coloring. So I've just selected a few of these markers. You can see they have a very fine tip on them. So working on this detailed of an embossing folder, the finer the tip on your marker, the better. And again, these are water-based, so they will, when they dry, it will be a little lighter than maybe a more intense alcohol marker or anything else like that. And that's what I'm going for with this faux stained glass. So you can see I'm going to just add a few colors here. I chose a green, a yellow, and orange, a little deeper shade of orange, and a red. I didn't have any plans for what I was going to do with this card, but just went with the colors that appealed to me. And so I have to kind of be mindful of the debossed areas here, and since this is a symmetrical embossing folder, I'm able to work from side to side and kind of see where I need to apply my colors. This can get a little bit confusing. If you get a little confused at first, just feel with your finger on the debossed side because you want to try to stay within those recessed areas. And the other tip is to try to stay away from the embossed lines, because those embossed lines will be visible when you flip this panel back over to the front. So you really want to create this faux stained glass as if you've got leading around all these individual little pieces. Except instead of the gray or metallic leading, it will be this white embossed outer edges. So try to stay away from those when you're using your markers. Again, the finer tip you have on your markers, the better this will work out. I suppose you could use real watercolor as well, like the palettes of watercolor. You just don't want to add too much water to your vellum paper. So you don't want your paper to buckle and all of that. So that's why I'm just using these markers, but by all means use whatever you've got. And it may be a little easier to start with an embossing folder that doesn't have quite as fine of details as this one does. I just love this Baroque Vine embossing folder, and it reminds me of a stained glass window, so that's what I was kind of going for with this project today. Okay, I'm only going to do a little portion of this so you don't have to sit through and watch, but I did do this in real time so you can see it doesn't really take that long. There are a lot of details to this folder, as I already explained, and you just need to take your time, add your color, and you will be done. And I think you will love this process. So look at this when I flip it over. Oh my goodness. See how the colors are a lot more subdued because of that vellum paper. So when you get this colored in, you can tell the back's got the more vibrant colors and the front is going to be more subdued, giving you that stained glass look. Okay, then I'll move on and do this little filigree and part of that inner oval using a little different color here. And again, I'm only going to do a portion of it because you don't want to sit here and watch me do this whole panel, even though, again, it doesn't take that long, but it is repetitive. So I will cut this down for you and show you how beautiful this comes out. So there is my panel. I'm trying to catch some light behind it so you can see that it definitely has a stained glass look. Of course, I won't be able to pop that up on my card this week because it needs to be adhered down. So I'm going to put that over a panel, a blue panel, because it reminds me of the sky. And then I cut down my vellum panel so that I'll have a little border around it. So off camera, I've cut down this panel and I'm going to place it in my little spray box and spray it with a spray adhesive. Just give that a little spritz and then it'll be ready to put on my panel. I use my grid mat to help me get this lined up correctly. Just taking my time to really get this centered up. Like so. And then I will be ready to move on and put that onto my card. So my card this week is going to be out of a heavyweight cardstock. I always like to use 100 pounds or more for my card base. And it is a 5x7" card base. And if you're interested, I have all the supplies and the dimensions, a full list of all of that in the description below my YouTube picture this week. So I'm discontinuing my blog post because it was just some duplicative work for me to put all the information in two places, and I'm only going to stick with my YouTube channel information from now on. So to be more helpful, I'm putting more information in the description on my YouTube channel. So I hope that comes in handy for you. All right, I'm just adding a little liquid adhesive and I'll get that put down on my card front, and you can see I've left a very tiny border in that white color around the edges just to offset the matte and really make it pop. So guys, this was a lot of fun. I think you would enjoy doing this. I think you would love the effects of this. Give it a try. The last thing I wanted to do was bring over this Happy Birthday scripty die. This was from Crafter's Companion, and I'm going to put this blue and white die cuts together. And I'm going to offset the blue with the white as if it's a highlight instead of a shadow. So in order to do that, I'm going to drop the blue part down and to the right just a bit to create a white highlight around my sentiment, and that will be ready to go on the front of my card. It is the finishing touch for this week, and I just needed that little pop of white. I didn't want to distract from the front of my card with just the white sentiment, so that's why I did the blue and white combination. And I'm going to just tilt that a bit and put it right in that oval to finish up my card. I certainly hope you enjoyed this video today and that you get inspired to look through some of your embossing folders, use whatever markers or watercolors you have. Give this a try. It turns out to be a beautiful card. Sometimes the pictures don't do it justice, but I think you'd love the process, and I hope you get inspired to give it a try. Thank you so much for dropping by. If you enjoyed this video, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Feel free to leave me any comments, maybe things you want to see, or if you have any questions about the process, I would be glad to respond to that. So thankful you dropped by, and I hope to see you again next week. Happy crafting, everyone!